Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline. My today's guest is Jenn Fisher, and I'm so happy that you said yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well, Caroline. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, thank you. And I read you are a travel blogger. You help trauma survivors heal through solo travel, hiking, camping, nature, inner child work, and mindfulness. And I love that very much because I used to travel solo as well. So I find myself in your bio, so to say. Can you tell us more about you and your work?
Yes, absolutely. I discovered solo traveling had the powerful ability to heal trauma quite organically and unexpectedly. Um, in my story, I spent about 7 years healing from trauma, and about five of it was very messy, ugly, and painful. Um, as a trauma survivor, as an incest survivor, I went through life really confused, working through it very hard, using all of my resources, but it wasn't until I made the drastic decision to leave my family, leave my marriage, and go into a pretty much a self-induced dark place to get to the bottom of what was going on in my life all along. And that's when I discovered solo travel and the powerful ability it has to heal the trauma.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. And you said how it started and what inspired you to help other people with that now.
So what started out as hiking solo
Mhm.
evolved into smaller trips and then bigger trips and then abroad trips. And being a trauma survivor is very debilitating. It can take all of your ability to function in life. And I didn't even know that I had PTSD. When you have trauma, you become so familiar with it and it becomes so internalized, especially the shame. Um, it's very hard to see that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So the work just got deeper and deeper. It seemed like I was going to continue to go down into that hole. Um, and slowly, slowly, as the years passed with therapy and many other resources, um, I have an incredibly beautiful life today. And that is the message that I want other trauma survivors to hear and be inspired by.
Oh, thank you so much. And you use the word resources and how important it is to use the resources you have, you are, you have, or you search for them, and you are open to use them because there are people closed-minded or how you want to, or not ready yet to heal the trauma, right?
Absolutely. On my travel blog, I write a lot. I write extensively about how to handle triggers. I write for those who use therapy and those who therapy has not worked for. I understand and have like profound respect for people who have tried because, you know, overcoming trauma is just about, you know, to kill you. And I would never minimize how difficult it is. So whatever path works for you, I've used recovery programs, 12-step programs. They helped a lot. I also used mindfulness to understand how trauma resets your brain, especially PTSD, and undoing those neural paths, especially EMDR trauma therapy. And I'm currently writing down my entire story so that other trauma survivors could see exactly what I did and use it for their benefit to heal as well.
Wow, I love that very much what you said that you use the resources as well, and you talked about therapy and of course I think coaching as well. And you had certainly coaches and mentors for yourself. Can you who inspired you? Can you
Yes. Yeah. 100% agree with you that as women and as women who are trying to help other women, mentors are, extremely important. Believe it or not, I would say that the number one mentor has been my therapist. She is a trauma therapist, and although she was in a very professional and paid role, nonetheless, we grew to heal on levels that without somebody who understood deep trauma, especially at times, I was very aware that she was able to be my inner child's therapist. I we we grew to such an intimate level that I could understand when she was taking a soft approach because an inner child wound was very raw and exposed, and that was that trust and vulnerability was necessary to heal. Without the trust and the vulnerability, I don't think trauma survivors can get to the other side. So my number one mentor is my therapist, and I am not in therapy currently because I'm trigger free and doing this thing in my life. But she's always there for me, and our relationship spanned probably about 7 years, on and off. And my second mentor was my spiritual mentor. She's like a mother, but also mostly a friend, and just loved me through the times when I was desperate and I needed compassion and understanding, not judgment or advice, and that was invaluable.
Mhm. What would you say was the number one quality the persons had that helped you?
Well, trauma survivors struggle deeply with trust and intimacy. Um, And that's easy to go ahead and just throw out there without really understanding what's happening. What's happening is safety. And especially for an incest survivor, which is who I am, an incest survivor. And the thing is, being able to find safety is pretty much the goal every day, internally. So being able to trust a person with my deepest, most fragile damage was required to heal. And they offered me safety.
Mhm. I understand safety. Yes. I thought of words like someone who is present for you, or you can talk to, or you can call whenever you want. I was not thinking about the word safety, so thank you so much for introducing it. My next question is, how do you inspire other people? Now, you mentioned your travel blog, of course, you work. How else?
So on my travel blog, I do write extensively about solo travel, to undo a lot of what I consider myths about solo traveling. In other words, the the term isolation or isolating, I think, has a negative connotation with solo travel. So I dispel myths around there, because sometimes people, loved ones, project fears onto women who want to solo travel. And those are the mentors that we don't want. We want the ones who have, the foundation to be able to support us and know that we are self-reliant enough to do everything that we need to do to be safe and not mother us and not control us, because as trauma survivors, it's very easy to gravitate toward people who have the same issues, you
Hmm.
know. So as far as, being in relationships with people who are safe enough, who have their own needs met, who are fully, self-supporting with their ability to give and receive in healthy intimacy, you know, um, that's what I look for to teach my readers to seek that out for themselves. Because your nearest and your dearest do have a very strong impact on the decisions that you make, especially when you're coming out of your comfort zone. So, I'm really happy that you circle back to resources, because it is very strong, powerful message that resources are, you know, breaking the trauma of, it's a paradox, because there is isolation in solo traveling, but meeting that inner child and taking that inner child on all of the trips, there's nothing isolating about it.
I understand. Okay, this is the view from outside. They see you traveling solo. They feel pity, like why is she doing this alone? Because I did solo travel. I can tell you about, and I enjoyed it every second. But I was also afraid sometimes, like when I was in dark places, so to say. I didn't want to exit the car. So I grabbed my food and I went to the hotel or whatever. So I can relate to this, but I also don't feel like that it is isolation. Um, I think it's the outside view, the perspective. My next question would be, what are your gifts and talents?
Hmm, that's a very awesome question. Um, well, first and foremost, service. I strive to seek the light in others, um, be a mirror to their hope, in terms of, um, they can do it. It's a very oversimplified, gift, but believing in others. I have to believe in myself if I'm going to truly believe in others. I think that, doing the internal work to overcome trauma and patterns is, necessary to have the gifts be authentic, and to to have my gifts and talents to be usable, able to be applied to others, to be able to, now that I have all of these gifts and toys, how do I play with them? So, I think that my gifts and talents are that I'm very, very passionate about mental health. I'm passionate about, solo traveling, for women. And it is funny when you said that you can relate to and shared your story about the car and the darkness. I go to bed like before it is even dark, and I don't travel places in the dark, except for camping and camper vans, and you know, don't have the fears. I read about them. I understand a lot of women do, but the places that I go and the things that I do, it's not been my experience that I have fear. So yeah, my gifts and talents are to share with the world, give and offer the same compassion and non-judgmental that was offered to me. And I am very organized. I'm very financially independent. I'm very determined and decisive. So those are just some traits. But really, my gifts are to, inspire others, and to really fight the good fight. I feel that overcoming trauma is like fighting the most good fight that you can possibly do. Because it is so painful and so debilitating. So, yeah, here I am on the other side. So,
Wow, I
you
love.
know,
Thank you for sharing. And I'm so happy that we talked today. It's very inspiring. Thank you. And my next question is, do you have goals? Do you set goals or do you have intentions? And what is one of your goals or projects for 2024?
So I like how, along with goals and projects, you mentioned intentions, because yes, I am a very devoted moon, follower, and I do set intentions twice a month with the moon, in holistic arts, with Reiki and full moon and, new moon twice a month, with those intentions, which is a lot of fun. I love the holistic arts. For 2024, I would like to have my ebook published that I wrote, to pretty much outline and map for others. This is what I did, step by step, phase by phase of my life, from the time that I left my marriage until 8 years, or actually 9 years later, when we remarried and our family was reunited. Um, Solo travel was really wonderful takeaway in that time. And yet, like, my family being reunited is really where my story has ended. It's like to write the book and keep the blog going, of course. But then also, I'm completely open to what comes next because I listen very intuitively to um, my inner wisdom, my higher self, and my guidance. So right now, ebook. From there, it's probably just more than I can even imagine right now. It'll just keep unfolding.
I love it. Thank you so much, and I look forward to reading your book. Of course, I'm happy to know about it. And you talked about your marriage as well, and that you are remarried. So, how did this happen? Can you tell us a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So at about year 20 of my marriage with my ex-husband and my 3 children, that's when the trauma started to get really uncomfortable. My ex-husband and I had a beautiful family, happy, loving, fun. In our relationship, in our marriage, we were very respectful and friends. However, very codependent. Um, the thought of doing our own thing in our lives was unbearable anguish because it would be abandoning the
Mhm.
other. We were addicted to abandoning. We were addicted to the fear of not abandoning each other. If I could sum up that dynamic in one understandable, sentence, we loved each other too much. And I would sacrifice from myself to give to him. He would sacrifice from himself to give to me. And I did leave. And afterwards, he said, I was the one when he was speaking to me. He said that I was the one that had the guts to do it. We both knew, it was very, strangling us. And yet, after that, it was horrific to break up a family. Um, and in there, my mother passed away. I was diagnosed with lupus and Sjogren's syndrome. My youngest son, who discovered he was trans, became suicidal with mental health issues. Um, and I hiked and biked and bought a house and cried and, sat in the fetal position for, 8 years through therapy. And as our initial marriage dissolved and we built co parenting, um, continuing our lives from those roles, as the years went on, my love for him came back. And his love for me never left. And we got remarried.
Oh, this is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. This gives hope also, I think, for our listeners which are in the same position for the people, maybe. Yes. And you are very inspiring. So please reach out to Jen. She's amazing. And my last question is, when people reach out to you after listening to this episode, do you have special offers or services for the Inspired podcast community?
Yes, if you log on to my blog, jennfisherbooks.com, you will be able to receive a download checklist if you're interested in solo travel and you're interested in trauma recovery and don't know where to start. There's a 20 item checklist for you to get started with personalized tips, and reach out to me with questions. You reach out to me with any support you need, whatever you need around that area, I am happy to help. I've, put it on my blog and answer whatever questions, however I can help, with your pain points around solo travel. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, thank you so much. This is amazing. I will put the link in the show notes, of course. And now it's time for your last message to the audience.
Don't give up, but if what you're doing isn't working, do something different.
Woo, this was amazing. Thank you so much and see you in the next episode.